we'll probably go ahead and get started because we've got a pretty thorough agenda. So Colleen, would you mind closing, or Travis, would you close the back door for me? Thanks. Let's get it going. Figure out how to do this. All right, let's bring up Randall with Meritage, who, for those of you in person, should be so excited because he brought us Cabo Bob's. Yes. Yeah, that's a home.
Wow, this is the first time I've had like an actual microphone. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Hello, group online. I don't know where you can see me, but hey, like she said, my name is Randall Evans. I'm with Meritage Homes. How many people are familiar with Meritage Homes? Okay, you guys are super knowledgeable, so you know how it is. We're all about energy efficiency, spray foam, all that stuff. Lots of incentives. We have as low as like a 4.5 fixed rate right now. We're typically able to cover all the closing costs, all that type of jazz. But I got introduced to y'all's brokerage through Freddie and Q. Shout out to them. They are awesome. Like y'all, they're like the standard for me, like of like the best. They're like literally my favorite realtors to work with. So but anyways, if y'all ever want to learn more about Meritage product, come out and visit. I would love to show you guys our communities. We have brand new communities coming to Elgin and Manor, which are going to be super nice. We even have some that are also, we have a couple more that are coming over to Buda. So we have 16 to 20 communities, depending on how you count it, all in the surrounding Austin area. So, but yeah. And then the other thing is that we are very big on having realtors with all of our clients, all of our unrepresented. Freddie and Q can attest. Like I reach out to them regularly and I'm like, hey, I have these buyers. They're unrepresented. And I strongly encourage them. We always make sure that our clients have, I mean, we can't force them, but we set aside the 3% for you guys always, and it doesn't affect their incentives at all. And we always tell them that. And we found as a company and as a division specifically that our clients who typically have realtors have a higher satisfaction rating, and our like pay and our incentives and all those things are better whenever our satisfaction rating is higher. So we have like a 97% avid satisfaction rating, and we want to keep that up. We're one of the best divisions in the country. But yeah, I'm talking fast. I don't really know what else. I said, I'm located a lot of times in the southeast or the south central, so Buda or Cedar Creek, Del Valle, Del Valle, however you want to say it. I'm just kidding. I cross sell, so I'm literally all over. I've sold homes up in Gerald. I've been all the way up to Burnett, and I've gone as south as Kyle as well. So literally all over. Dripping Springs, that's another big one. That's probably our biggest, most hottest, community. But do y'all have any questions about Meritage Homes or anything like that? Freddie, yes, in the back.
A fixed rate limit, we kind of negotiate the sell price because it's pretty flexible, and especially right now, for work with even, me specifically kind of that, for me, Hill Valley, if you'll have any time from Tesla, the rate actually keeps 1.7, the home for like.
It's 2.07. But there's no mud, no pit over there. It's great. So a low 300s to like just above 400. Okay. 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 Yeah, I'd love to connect with you after. I love to connect. I really like to form a partnership. Like I went and grabbed lunch with Freddie and Q. I like to really get to know you. I like for you to get to know me. I'm a dad. I've got 2 kids. I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Those are the things that I'm into. And I love to treat people the way I want my family to be treated. I come from like a service kind of background. I love real estate. I want to treat, you guys the way that I'd want my family to be treated, and the same with your clients. And if it doesn't work out, like I've shown houses with Freddie and Q and it's not worked out, but I'm super happy for them. And even if I introduce a client to them, I'm like, hey, if it doesn't work out for me, at least it works out for y'all. I want to connect my clients, the ones who are unrepresented, with realtors that I can trust that are going to take care of them as well. Because sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Like I meet people all the time. It's like, hey, I need a 12 or 1600 a month payment. I'm like, I can't help you there, but I can introduce you to some realtors who can help you find what you're looking for. And I do things like that all the time. So, Yeah, that's a stretch. For a real stretch. Maybe we rent, work on some things, get a plan, you know, that type of thing. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, did anybody else have any other questions or comments? Thank you for that. Awesome. I appreciate y'all so much. Yep.
All right. Let's bring up Travis. Travis is holding down the fort for a line. Woo! Super exciting.
Yeah, feels like it's been forever, huh? Yeah. And it's just me today. My boy Tyler is actually holding it down at a closing for us. So I wasn't planning on saying this, but like we love going to closings. Jen and I had one just a while. That's the fun part. Like I always am like surprised when the title agent's like, oh, the lender showed up. I'm like, why would they not? Like that's the part to celebrate. But anyways, yeah, Tyler's holding it down at a closing for us right now. So I was gonna kick it off since we haven't seen each other in a while. You may remember that we did a rate contest at the beginning of the year. And for those, the new folks in the room or online, this is our third year maybe doing it, that I've asked, hey, let's guess what the rate would be at our hypothetical July meeting since we didn't have one. And then what will the average rate be at the end of the year? And last year we had a couple winners. I brought all sorts of like imported food from my home state. It was a pretty good contest. I think they were pretty happy with the prize. But if we would have had a meeting on July 15th, the average rate was 6.63. Hold off before you move that slide. Hold off. So think about it. 6 months ago, January, rates were getting pretty low. And I've got to say, there was a lot of optimistic people that guessed. A lot of people guessed we were going to be in the fives or we were going to be, low sixes. So, before January or after January, a little thing happened in Iran, and that's really just kind of the major market mover for, our interest rates right now. So again, average rate was 6.63, and the winner, who wasn't very close, but was the closest, was Brandy Otto. Yeah. So she guessed 6.29, and I think there was really only one other guess that was like someone guessed like 7.5, but everyone else was guessing in the fives and whatnot. And again, I love that thought process. Let's put that in the air that's where rates are going to go. But yeah, congratulations. Gift card from my favorite local business, Meridian. So enjoy. Yes. Yeah. If you did not get a guess in due to maybe weren't at the January meeting or you're new to us, if you want to shoot a guess in by the end of tomorrow afternoon, I will have a little subcategory, an asterisk winner, since you're guessing halfway through the year. But I want you to join in on the fun. Just email me at travis@AlignHL. Guess what you think the rates will be at the end of the year. So everyone else, I've got your guesses secured, and we'll see who wins. Cool. But talking about rates, this was, I just kind of like to show you what's going on in our market. These are obviously not, the builder rates that you're seeing, but I truly do think a lot of those builder incentives and rates are going to get smaller and shrinking. But these are just national survey of rates. Top tier credit, 800, 20% down payment. And that was as of yesterday. We were at 6.75. I want to highlight something real quick. I just want to point out VA was at 6.34%, and that will lead me into my next slide. So just a quick reminder, Align Home Loans, we're obviously local, we're a broker. I have 20-something people I can shop and go find the best VA loan, the best USDA, crazy condo loans. Jen, I'm looking at you. Yeah. So, we got a wide menu, I would say. But yesterday, I was shopping for a VA client, and want to show you, you all heard of points, right? That's just the cost to get a lower interest rate. Well, I just said that the average national rate was 6.32. Is that what I said? Yesterday, 6.375. We were actually going to give this client a $3,500 credit. And that just goes to help close, closing costs, cash out of pocket lower. You can see 6.25 was a $2,300 credit, and that's the one we settled on. But when we're like negotiating deals with sellers and I'm working with my agents, we do want to get closing costs, and we're seeing that a lot. But also, like, you can see the difference between 6.25, it's a $2,300 credit, or 6.125 is going to cost $2,900. I mean, that's a huge swing. I mean, that's almost like $5,700 and, a difference of getting that credit or paying money. So the difference in your interest rate between these, brackets, these eighth brackets, is only $34. But say your client was just, say 6.125 was their favorite number, which is a really weird number to have as a favorite number, but it would cost them $2,900 and they would lose that credit. So it'd take them 155 months, 155 payments to break even on getting that lower rate. So I bring this up because when we negotiate, like, yes, getting seller credits is awesome, but we also want to make sure we're using those seller credits in the right way. So maybe we go off sales price some, maybe we do some seller credits. And I just wanted to show you, like, we're, much below the national average, and we're offering a credit with Align Home Loans. Our overhead's low. We can afford to keep rates as low as possible. So we consistently have rates that are below the national average. And this one came with a lender credit. Yeah, and then just, buying points goes both ways. You can buy it lower, or if you wanted to go higher, I was just speaking to Iris about this situation, we can offer credits to help cover closing costs. And then just what am I seeing on my end? Especially with all the buyers right now, I'm sure y'all are seeing this when you're representing your buyer clients. Title and survey are getting paid for 99% of the time. I'm not seeing anyone, pay title or survey. That was different 3 or 4 years ago, right? 2021, 2022, but we're seeing that covered by the seller like pretty much every time. And we're definitely seeing a reduction in the sales price and or seller credits. Again, just go back to that scenario. If you want to negotiate or come with me just so we can strategize of how we can get the best offer into your clients, it's not always getting like an exorbitant amount of closing costs, again, because the rates just, that example, but like, call me, let's talk it out and we'll figure it out. And I put last thing I was gonna say, I put a picture of a toolbox, and yeah, the rates are where they're at. Like we've talked about historically, this is kind of where they've been, but everyone is still skewed from 2021 and 2022 when their neighbors, their friends or whatnot got those 3% interest rates, some people in the 2%. And what I try to like change the conversation. And one of the things I always bring up, maybe it's cheesy, maybe it's not, is a mortgage is a tool. It's a tool to help you buy a house. And right now we know that buyers have the power in our market because of all these things we just listed out. And so I always explain to my clients, hey, this is the right tool for you right now. But later on down the road, we're going to have a relationship and I'm going to call you and we're going to upgrade that tool, AKA refinance. Now, we won't always have the power on the buyer's end, but we always have the power to refinance. So just trying to shift that conversation of, oh my gosh, rates are so high. Well, yeah, but all these things are coming along with it and we can always refinance you later on. Cool.
All right, we'll jump more into market conditions and what's going on in another couple slides. But first, there's Align's social media, in case you forget, follow them. But let's celebrate our recent top producers. So because we haven't met in a couple months, we've got May, June, and July to recognize. And then I've got certificates for June and July. The May ones were already handed out. So I'm gonna grab the ones I need to pass out that I know are here. Okay, let's start off with May top producers. So we've got Matt, Jeanette, and Freddie. Freddie, I think you have your May. Okay. Modern Roots and Austin REI for our top teams. Way to go, guys. For June, we have Jeanette once again, Brandy Auto. And Freddie for June, crushing it. Good job. Oh, and Modern Roots, I'm walking around with Modern Roots. Jen, you get theirs. Congrats. Let's go into July. We got Jeanette again, who is on a roll, Dustin and Casey, and then Modern Roots and Austin REI. It's a good job, guys. I will give a plug to Jeanette that for those of you that don't know, she was a brand new agent a year ago. And this year is crushing it. And she has gotten really, really niched down and really intentional with social media and AI. And it's like she's getting more business than she can handle. So we'll talk about more about all that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and move on to the market conditions and what's going on. We just saw that slide at 6.75 interest rate. Not fun for anybody, we know. but we'll talk about how we can turn that around. First, what are we seeing in the market? These are some interesting stats, and I want to implore you all to be paying attention to stats because we need to be able to we need to be able to educate our clients on what's going on, or even prospects, leads out there, right? When they ask you, how's the housing market? We want to get specific. You want to have a couple pieces of knowledge. And so the first thing I found really interesting in an article I read recently is that buying a starter home is costing more than renting in the US by 50%. But in the Austin market, it's costing 139% more. Why is that? Because rents are coming down. Our rental market is incredibly soft right now, and prices, we bubbled in COVID and we're not down. We're some down, but overall we're not down. And so that is really affecting first-time home buyers' decision to go ahead and buy in this market, right? So we've got to think about, okay, that's the reality. How can we position it to maybe change that perspective? I know I personally have had 2 closings recently where I bought out their lease to close and get them done. Yes, I took it out of my commissions to make it happen, but it was worth it for me to encourage them to go ahead and buy now and capitalize on the buyer market where they could get a great deal. And then I wrote a check as a rebate to pay off the lease. So those are opportunities that can be had, and we can speak to those things when you have clients who are thinking about, do I need to rent, keep renting, keep leasing? Does it really make sense or not? We know all the reasons why it doesn't make sense to keep renting, but when they're looking at dollars and cents, it's really hard for them to get over that 139% discrepancy. So something to think about. The other statistic, I go into the summer usually and I'm like, it's going to be the best part of the year. It's going to be crushing it. Our sales are going to be higher than the rest of the year. This is it. And this year has not played out that way at all. January started off really strong because our rates were really good. We were at 5.9-ish. And buyers were coming back into the market the minute we got in the 5s, and then rates ticked up because of what Travis was talking about, and the buyers stepped back, and we never saw the growth over the summer that we normally see. Yes, homes still move because people still have to move, but we didn't see that influx of buyers. And in our market, July, we actually lost buyers coming out of the market. They've kind of got scared, a little more frustrated with what's going on, a little more concerned over job security and cost of living going up. And so in the Austin market, we saw the buyer to seller ratio was 112%. So we had 112% more homes on the market than we had buyers buying homes in the Austin MSA. And the national average in July was only 51%. So again, we are like, you can read stories and it makes it sound like Austin's leading the market on these stats, but these are not good stats to be leading the market on at all. And so these are things we need to understand and be able to speak to, especially on listing appointments. It's so important when we go to meet with a seller who has to sell right now, right? Like if they don't have to sell right now, I don't know that I'm suggesting they go ahead and put them on the market. We have a really honest conversation. But if they do have to sell, I want to educate them on what's the reality of the market so that they have a really good, strong understanding of what to expect. And then I'm not the one that's the bad guy because I need them to reduce the price. Does that make sense? Or the price I suggest to begin with is lower than what they think. I'm setting those expectations from the get-go. Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to implore you to, read, be educated, stay on top. We're going to talk about a couple ways to do that in a minute. Unfortunately, the big takeaway I've had over all the articles I've read, the summit, Tom Ferry Summit that I was in a couple weeks ago, is that we're in this for another 2 to 3 years. There is no miracle cure coming anytime soon. So we just kind of have to buckle up and focus on the things we can control. We'll talk about that more. All right. So speaking of housing, I wanted to point out a new tool from Unlock MLS that has been rolled out, which is the Texas Homeowner Affordability Index. So the last couple meetings, I've talked about market stats, right? Unlock MLS has come out with amazing market stat tools. And this is a new one, which is a summary of really those stats I just showed you a minute ago, what's going on. And in Austin, basically with this current summary, you all got this email with this tool on July 28th, by the way, from ABOR. But what this summary is saying right now is that in the Austin market, we're not only dealing with housing prices that are too high, but our insurance rates have more than doubled over the last 4 years, right? So homeowners and buyers are being killed by insurance. We're getting killed on property taxes. The newer communities that are all being built, all have these additional fees of PIDs and PUDs and MUDs and, all these special assessments being tacked on. We're seeing utilities go up in certain areas that, weren't supposed to happen. So they're getting hit from all over. And it's our job to understand how does it really affect their mindset and how can we offer a solution and help them get through that, work through that. So I just, again, July 28th was the email. I was going to pull it up and show it to you guys, but I'm afraid we're going to run out of time. So just know if you can't find the email, shoot me an email. I'll send it to you. But it's a really good in-depth 3-page report on what's going on in our local market. All right, speaking of Unlock MLS and ABOR, I would not be a good board of director if I didn't bring you guys the newest news. Housing Summit, which is one of my favorite events that ABOR offers every year, is September 9th. It's from 9 to 11:30 at the board, but you can also watch it online. You register on your member portal. They are going to do a deep, deep dive into what's happened with our economy and then what they're expecting to happen next year. But they also bring in experts. Last year, they brought in the mayor of Austin. They'll bring in they brought in the head person for the airports, and she talked about what's going on with our airport expansion and everything. Like, they bring in really good, knowledgeable players in our economy to educate us on what's going on so we can speak to it going forward. So I highly recommend. I will be at this event. Hope you guys will join me. September is when we vote for the new board of directors. I am rolling off the board next year. Thank God. I've been on for 6 years and I'm ready for a break. So we need to vote. If you, I should have memorized the website. There is a website with all the directors or all of the potential directors, the candidates that are running. And then they will all have interviews on social media on Unlock's website or Instagram handle and Facebook handle to watch their interviews, get to know them. But if you guys are like, Carolyn, I have no idea, I don't know who, just shoot me an email. I'm always happy to share my opinion of who I'm voting for. I was chair of the vetting committee who vetted all these people, so I know them pretty well at this point. But just vote, please. It's important. There are 5 seats open this election. All right. Just an FYI, most of you I know use SkySlope because you're really good and it makes me so happy. But some of you like Transaction Desk and Zip Forms, and they're going away. So Texas Realtors, those are products Texas Realtors has offered. And the two are basically merging into what's called Transact, which is out and available now to use. And I just want to implore those of you that are loyal to Transaction Desk or Zip Forms to force yourself to start using Transact, because I've been told it's going away at the end of this year. However, there is some discussion about maybe it'll stick around a little longer, but the best thing is like to force yourself to make the move to Transact or come over to SkySlope. Don't even learn Transact, come to SkySlope. They all have to turn in documents to SkySlope, but some just want to do their forms on another site. So those are the big takeaways. I was hoping I'd have another big announcement today. In the Unlock MLS world, there will be an announcement coming out in email in the next 48 hours. I would just pay attention to that email when it comes out. I cannot speak to it yet, but I will make sure I mention it in the one on Monday. So more to come on that. Until it's public, I can't. I know. It's really actually exciting. I know. If you all know me and why I got involved in the board to begin with, I will just speak to why I got involved in the board to begin with. One of my pain points was all the different MLSs we belong to be able to service clients in this area. I think we do a disservice to our clients, and I got involved to help change that landscape. And that landscape is very hard to change. It takes time, but we are in an era of mergers and acquisitions, and that's all I will say. More to come in the email. Okay. One of our very own agents, Alex Navarro, has asked me to share this community, not a community, it's 3 spec homes that he's building with you guys. So it's called the 18th Collection. The website is the 18thcollection.com. His first spec is like 99% done. It'll be available, it'll be completed in September. And he'd love for you guys to go tour, put it out on social media. We may even do a contest about that. I just want to encourage you all, if you're needing to do tours, this is a great one to do. It's a beautiful spec home, 1.1 million. So wouldn't you want to find the buyer for that? Let's do that. So the address is on the website. I should have put the actual address on there. It's like 1805 East 5th Street, I think. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember, but it's on the website. So reach out to Alex to schedule an appointment to tour it, shoot a video on it. Let's support him. Beautiful, beautiful project. The first home, again, it will be done in September, and then there are 2 more right behind it that they're working on. So that's 18th. Thank you, Laura. Awesome. All right, prize time. So I forgot to announce in the beginning of this, there's so much info to go over today that we're not doing Kahoot at the end of the meeting. I'm so sorry for you Kahoot lovers. Forgive me, but I do have 3 questions along the way. And the first to raise their hand and give me the correct answer is going to get the first one. You get to pick a cup, Yeti mug, provided by Noble Property Inspections, and a Starbucks gift card. I had no idea who it's from. Okay, so first, so no blurting out the answer. First to raise their hand, give me the answer, okay? So I'm gonna hit next and watch hands. HUD recently changed what rule regarding ESAs? Who can tell me? Laura Carter. There's a specific word I need, because they are service animals. So sit. Thank you, yes. So HUD recently changed the rules and said, all right, enough of this BS of people taking advantage of the rule. They have to be specifically trained in the support that they are hired to perform, if that makes sense. So we can require proof of that documentation going forward. So hopefully that will cut down on the people trying to abuse this, which is really exciting. Laura, would you like orange, orange, or teal? All right. Good job. All right, 2 more questions to come. Not right now, though. First, let's talk about Texas Realtors. So since you're all considering going to Summit, you could also join me at Texas Realtors Annual Convention, which happens to be next week. I'm very excited. It's in San Antonio. They do this conference every year in August, and you can get CE credit, amazing educational opportunities, learn about what's going on at Texas Realtors. There's a lot of changes happening at Texas Realtors. They have a new CEO. They're redoing all of their governance. I'm very impressed with the changes that are coming. But what I love about going to conferences like this and why I recommend you going and taking CE at these is because you get to network with agents outside our area, which can be amazing referral sources for you. When I started as a brand new agent 20 some odd years ago, one of the best pieces of advice I always got was every time you need to do CE, take it in another city so that you can network with agents in other areas and come back and have great referrals. So it's next week. It's not too late to sign up. If you're going to attend, let me know. I will be there. So it will be super fun. How fun can CE be, huh? So it's free if you don't want CE, or it's $125 for all of the CEs, which that's a lot of CE. I signed up for free, and I'm just going to go and learn and network. So, and there's a website. Let me know if you have trouble finding it, but it's got the agenda and everything on it. Okay, I threw this slide on here, and a PDF of our slides will be on Hub shortly, but I came across this article that Inman put out. I say it's Inman. I don't think it's Inman. Yeah, it was Inman. Okay, so it's a top suggested reading list for agents of books. And I had not, so I read a lot. I have a ton of books, as you guys know, if you walk into my office. And the only book on this list I read was The Let Them Theory. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm really slacking on the world. And so I personally thought I'm going to invest in these. And so I just wanted to share them with you. Again, I'm not going to go over all of them right now. The slides will be on Hub, but I'm all about making sure, we're going above and beyond in our learning and making sure we become better people, better agents, all that good stuff. Okay. Talking about better agents, those of you that attended Tom Ferry Success Summit with me, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you guys being here for 3 days and learning. I personally got a lot out of it. I put highlights on the slides as to what all, the highlights that I felt, my takeaways, becoming the authority. So one of the things he really went hard on is on social media, if we're just doing just listed and just sold, we sound like all the other noise in social media, right? We've got to figure out what is our voice, what is our purpose, what is our niche. Like I mentioned before, Jeanette's doing so well. Her niche is really working with veterans, working with veterans, and she's crushing it. So figuring out where is your lane, where is your voice, and becoming that authority in social media. Also, we talked about in the summit marketing for our listings, right? We've got to go above and beyond. We can't just do photos in MLS anymore. We've got to put a lot more behind it, videos. social media ads, all kinds of stuff talked about there. Installing systems. So Tom Ferry's big into like, you can't grow unless you have good fundamentals. And systems are a big one that he went into. AI, we'll talk about last. Mastering the conversation. So he brought on a sales specialist who doesn't do real estate, right? He knows how to sell. I personally grew up with Zig Ziglar as one of my sales heroes. I went and saw him speak in San Antonio. He was amazing. And we don't really focus on sales fundamentals and teaching those to you guys. But we do need to be good salespeople in order to be successful in real estate. And some of what I've taught you guys in my buyer consultation or my listing appointment scripts, you know, there's definitely sales tactics in there. But we need to really, if we want to improve and grow, one of the things we should work on is getting better at those scripts and those dialogues, getting better at bonding and building rapport with people that we meet. And I have a couple additional slides on this. So if you're like, hey, I want to know more, let me know. I've got some good content on it. I have all the slides from Summit. So if you guys want those, shoot me an email and I'll get those out to you. Double down when it's hard. So I've talked about this before. We talked about this at the beginning of the meeting. When we think rates are going to stay at 6.5 or 6.75 and stay in the sixes for the next 2 or 3 years, right? It is what it is. We can't control it. We can't make that go away. So what do? We need to double down on our activity and get more focused, be more intentional with lead generation and lead follow-up, right? How do we make sure that we're talking to twice as many people so that we are getting the closings we want? That's really important and a big focus and challenge for me for the rest of the year for sure. The big takeaway though I had was I've been going to these summits for over 15 years and I can literally remember in the early summits them talking about social media and I'm like, what the heck is social media and why do I care? And you know, I'll dabble in it, but I really don't want to do it. And what the reality is today, the agents that have learned social media, have made it part of their marketing system, are doing really, really well right now. And the reality is we're in that same space 10, 15 years ago right now with AI. So what he said is that if we treat AI like, oh, it's cute and fun and I'll learn it someday, and we don't take it seriously, we are not going to be agents in 5 or 10 years. Like AI and the agents who adapt AI are going to crush the rest. And so it's really important that we start making sure that AI is a part of, you know, the game plan and learning. And I've intentionally in the last few meetings, you know, brought to you guys some tactical AI stuff. But I just want to challenge you all to think about how can I slowly start introducing AI into my business and how can I make it something really impactful? And there's a lot of ways to do it. The first step is to look at what do I do in my business that's repeatable, that perhaps I can use AI to help me make my life easier. You know, some of the TC stuff you do, transaction coordination stuff you do, timelines, that sort of thing. AI can help manage that. Using AI to help you with your scripts, your sales skills, AI taking MLS data and helping you evaluate, you know, an asking price for a listing, helping you prepare for a listing appointment or buyer consultation, all those things. Like it's pretty amazing what it can do. We've got to start somewhere and start learning and just bite size, start embracing it. So that was one of my biggest takeaways from the summit. Anyone else who was there, who watched, want to share? Dean, I know you joined me. Who else was there in here? Nobody else. Never mind. Okay. 21st Century Road Housing Act. It's a really weird bill. But Congress passed this. And I've had a couple people ask me, like, what does this mean? I heard we're going to have affordable housing. And I just wanted to make sure you guys take a minute, ask AI. I'm going to challenge you all to ask AI to say, teach me, what do I need to know about this bill that was passed by Congress? And how does that relate to me as an agent and to my clients and prospects? And in social media, how can I use this content? Because the misnomer is that, oh, it means we're going to have cheaper houses really soon. And the reality is this is planting seeds for future affordable housing, but it's going to take a while to get there. It really focuses on affordability for builders, incentives to build less expensive homes overall. But again, it's going to take a while to get there. And that may not happen in our area because we're pretty limited on land. It's also reducing the size of mortgages and making those more affordable. So the reality was for like tiny homes or that sort of thing, a mortgage really wasn't a good viable product, and they're changing the terms so it can become a viable product. They're talking about it will offer more tools for first-time home buyers, not necessarily as far as better interest rates, but more education and making sure that they understand what homeownership means, what it can do for them. So hopefully it will help encourage buyers to take that next step. It's adding in some incentives for VA buyers, and then it's going into manufacturing and modular homes, because the way of the future is to build them cheaper. And so they're looking at how can we do that on mass levels, and modular manufactured is kind of the way to go. So I just challenge you all to take a few minutes, learn a little bit more about this act, because if you haven't been asked about it yet, you will be. And we need to understand what it really means. It doesn't mean we're going to have cheaper homes tomorrow. All right, let's do another one. Ready for the question? Raise your hand. When do the new appraisal changes go into effect? Oh, y'all. Who's heard of UAD 3.0? Let me repeat that question. Who has heard of UAD 3.0? Somebody's heard about it. Well, you can't win again. All right. Good job, Freddie. Would you like orange or orange? All right. Good answer. So yeah, so UAD 3.0, which is a new universal appraisal form, will begin November 2nd. And I'm going to bring it up now, 3.6. I'm bringing it up now because it's important. That's right, I screwed it up. Sorry, Colleen, my bad. I'm bringing it up now because as a listing agent, there's going to be more responsibilities for us to ensure that our homes are appraised at the right value. What it's doing is so I don't know if you guys know, but several years ago, the government said, hey, we want all this data that's being collected on appraisals, and we want it put into a database so that we can own that data. And that's how now you sometimes have where a client doesn't have to have an appraisal. It's called a desktop appraisal, because they have enough data in those areas that based on the contract price and the address, they're allowing it to go through because that buyer is really strong, has a good down payment, they're letting it happen. Well, the government and appraisers in general have said, wait, we don't have enough information on those appraisals to accurately give an appraisal. It's missing specifics like roof. Well, roof's a big one, right? Before, they used to have to just look at the roof and be like, is there life left in the roof? And they would say yes, and it would pass. Or they'd say no, and then it wouldn't pass, and we have a problem, right? Well, roof is going to be a big one. We have to know, like, they have to cite, is it older than 12 years old? That could be a really big red flag. If there's deterioration seen, that will be an aspect of the roof part of this. A lot of things will play into account for this. And what we need to know as listing agents is more on listing appointments. We need to look at the roof and be like, oh, we got to talk about this roof because this is going to kill us on appraisal. It's really important. Other factors like site influence. So site influence used to be good, bad, or fair, or average. And now there's room for interpretation and adding value into that. So there's going to be a lot more value lost or gained in the details. And so it's really important as listing agents to understand, what do those changes really look like? And as a listing agent, how can I make sure I'm showing off as much of the assets as possible on those listings and not losing value to these appraisers, right? The other big thing that this does is stress to appraisers, which I really appreciate, that we can provide packages to the appraisers and say, here's everything you need to know to fill out that form. Let me do your job for you. Let me make your life easier. The rule is we can talk to appraisers. We just cannot influence their price. We can't sit there and say, I think you're wrong and here's why. They're not going to react well to that. But we can say, hey, I hope you consider the following, right? So I'm going to implore you all to really make sure when you take a listing, it's our responsibility that we don't lose it on appraisal. And so we've got to put more time and energy into our listings to make sure that happens. Dean. So if the comps are all based in the same neighborhood, then it won't be neighborhood, right? If they have to go outside of the neighborhood and they're pulling from other communities, then absolutely that can affect you. But like I sold a listing in Amberwood years ago, and yes. I'm like getting confused. I sold a listing in Amberwood years ago. One of the comps he used, the house was literally right across the street from the community pool. And I'm like, this sold for what it did because there's 500 kids in the front yard all summer long. Like our house did not compare, but because of location and the appraisal standards, they couldn't use that, but now they can with this one, if that makes sense. So I'm excited about these changes. Appraisers, I'm sure, are kind of both ways, right? Like their hands have been tied, but they're now going to have to do a lot more work. It's our job to help make that job easier for them. If we're the listing agent, if you're the buyer's agent, and you're concerned about appraisal, I would do it for them too. I'd make sure I'm putting that package together. I would say, hey, listing agent, make sure MLS says it's by appointment only. And when you know the appraiser's coming, let me know. I'd love to meet him there to help make this happen. Unless you want it to not appraise, you could have that opinion too, and then don't do that. But if we're trying to make it happen, we got to pay attention. So again, go into ChatGPT or Claude and be like, hey, teach me in a brief handout, what do I need to know about UAD 3.6? Okay. All right. Story time. I got a couple stories. Oh, this one makes me want to drink. So they all do actually. All right. So we have a first time home buyer, but they previously owned a home that they inherited. So they're kind of different. But they only had limited funds for a down payment. We got seller to pay closing costs, seller to pay commission, really don't have any other funds. And the buyers move in on a Thursday. And what happens Saturday night? The sewage starts backing up into the home. Yeah. After they closed. Yeah. Seller's disclosure never mentioned plumbing issues. Seller had been living there up to closing, supposedly. Buyer had the home inspected, and this is my buyer. I made them do the scope, the sewer lines, because I'm telling you all to make sure you're scoping the sewer lines, right? We did a scope. Scope report says clean. We look at the video, we don't see anything. Okay, we think it's clean. What happens though, as the plumbing sewage starts backing up to the home, my people at middle of the night call an emergency plumber out there, freaking out, and the plumber's like, you got something going on. We need to scope these lines and figure out what's going on. And sure enough, there are roots in these lines. And it's like, how the heck are there roots if we scoped those sewer lines? Like that makes no sense whatsoever. Well, upon further review, we got the plumber who did the repair work to see the video that we had. And that plumber who did the scope was pulling the scope really fast. And you can see in certain spots, there were black spots. But to us, as laymen, we thought it was like just sewage water sitting there, right? You don't think much of it. Had he slowed down and looked, it was clumps of roots. And there was a massive clump of roots in one section that caused this backup. So yeah, no, it gets worse. So cost of repairs is $7,000. And I, being the bulldog that I am, that you all know, I'm like, no worries, the inspector's going to pay for this. They are absolutely going to make this happen. This is insane. Not only that, but the seller should know, hey, plumber, shouldn't the seller have seen signs? Yeah, the seller should have seen signs. Like, it didn't just happen overnight. These roots did not appear yesterday, right? Like, we're talking 4 days between closing, seller moving out and us. Here's the reality. And I'm going to implore you all to pay attention to this. On the inspection agreement that every buyer signs with an inspection company, and I'm not saying that this is on every inspection company. This was in their contract. Their contract says any claims against the company for negligence shall be limited to liquidated damages in the amount of the fee for those services. So all they did is go, oh, my bad. Here's the $450 for your inspection and the $200 for the sewer scope. Peace out. That's what they did. Now, thank God, and you all need to take note on this, I did not refer that inspection company to my client. I did not. They picked one that some other agent told them to use. And I was like, thank the Lord, they didn't use my inspector and this happened, right? So it's not on me, and they know they can't come back at me, and they weren't mad at me. But that is a concern, right? Like if we go, oh, we love this inspector and this happens, holy crap, we're in big trouble. So my first recommendation to you all is to make sure we're reading these contracts and understanding what are the limits of liability. So I do call my preferred inspector when this happens and I say, hey, here's the big deal. What do we do? And he's like, first of all, threaten to turn them into Trek because they're licensed by Trek. And Trek is there to protect the public. And so threaten to turn them into Trek. like, okay, good. I call them back and I'm like, this is totally unacceptable. I call BS. You all have E&O insurance. You screwed up. Here's proof. Here's documentation. And we're going to turn you into track. And they're like, do whatever you need to do. We don't care. That was literally the response. And so now the burden is on my clients to hire an attorney. The last one I talked to for an issue like this, it was a $10,000 minimum retainer. And I'm not saying that's the case with all of them, but I just think there's a shortage out there and it is what it is. And so I've had to go back. So I went to law school ChatGPT, which I'm not saying you do this, but I went to ChatGPT and I said, here's all the evidence. Here's what's happened. What do we do? You know, and it analyzed and gave me this thorough, you know, feedback. And so I presented that to my sellers. I'm like, I'm not an attorney. I talked to ChatGPT. I give it all the evidence. You know, here's what it recommends. I really do. ChatGPT, and I really think you have a good case. But they're like, we just want to move on and forget it. We're over this. We're heartbroken. They're destroyed. And they don't have the money. They barely have the money to do the $7,000. So they don't have the money to hire an attorney and fight it. I'm like, okay, understand. And I'm so sorry. And I wanted to like write the attorney check and just like, you know, like they should not be able to get away with this, right? It's so frustrating. But because this is written the way it is, it's like there is some legal ramifications to that. They signed this agreement, agreed to this. And so we just need to understand what do the agreements say and make sure our buyers understand that. That people make mistakes. And this guy, I don't know if he was brand new and just hadn't been trained properly. You know, I can't speak to why they did what they did. But it's really important to understand the situation. I am still encouraging them to report him to TREC, and that we will stay tuned on that one. Okay, yes. No, 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 no. So we tried home warranty, pre-existing condition, and then we tried insurance, and it's not a covered item. So, yes, Dean. So when I am done being online, I can share. I cannot on a recorded Zoom. That's going to be on YouTube. So we can talk about that later. Okay, I'm going to do one more story. This one's an interesting one. So again, I have a buyer who loves a house. And he's like, I want to make an offer. I'm like, great, except I have these two concerns on the seller's disclosure. One is that they had a mold issue I want to know a little bit more about. And then in 2022, the roof was replaced. So my concern is I'm worried about the homeowner's insurance. So before we do anything, get homeowner's insurance quotes. The homeowner's insurance comes back with, you know, we get a clue report, right? The clue report says 2 claims. One is a lightning strike that they don't even mention on the seller's disclosure. And then the other one is a wind claim for $80,000. Wind was what the clue report said is wind, which is to me like a tornado. And I'm like, holy crap, you know, like what the heck? But my lesson to you guys is I want to make sure we're digging in, right? And questioning and getting more information before we write offers. If you see red flags on the disclosure, make sure we're talking to the agent and asking questions, and make sure if you don't do it before you make the offer, at least do it in the option period and get those homeowners insurance quotes and pull the clue reports, because we need to know if there's things we should know more about. And the fact that this disclosure didn't talk about these is a big red flag. So I go, hey, agent, fill me in on what the heck, you know? And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, you better, oh my God, because this is not good. And then I turn around and position it as an asset to my buyer, because the reality is now we have a home that some companies aren't even going to insure, and the policy may be higher. So maybe we can use that to our advantage in negotiating a better price. Maybe, maybe not. We're still working through it, but it's something that I just want to make sure you guys realize, like, we've got to go above and beyond and dig deeper. I've talked in the past about, like, sometimes even in this case, it's a newer home, so it's not needed, but pull history, right? Make sure you pull the MLS history of the home and see every time it's sold. Pull those seller's disclosures, and make sure all the stories line up to the disclosure you're getting today, right? I've gone online and seen previous foundation work, and it's never mentioned in the current disclosure. Like, we need to know those things. We need to do better for our buyers. So that's an important one. More to come on that later. I'm not sure if my buyer, if it were me, I would say let's pass on this house personally. But we've been looking for a while and he's really eager and he really loves the house. So we'll see. All right. Prize time. One more. If the amendment says $0 for an extension on the termination of option period, do you have a valid extension of an option period? Brandy. That's right. You do not. Does everybody realize that? Does everybody realize that? It's really easy to do a $0 amendment on an extension for the option period. You're like, the seller's like, oh, I'm sorry, for the delay. I didn't let you get in there. No problem. We're not going to charge you to extend the option. You got to give money or it's legally not binding, right? It's called consideration. Same thing. And people go, well, what about the non-realty item addendum? It's $0. It is not legally binding, but the lender doesn't want dollars on that non-realty item addendum. And there's no way we can get around that. But we want to make sure on this, we're not getting into trouble, okay? So give $10 on the option period. If everyone's agreeing to no charge, then at least put $10 and Venmo that seller $10. I had to do this a couple weeks ago. I put $10 on the kitchen counter when we did our inspection, okay? So it's very important. We're giving some kind of consideration so that we legally don't get in trouble. We had an agent in the office who literally was like, I'm backing out. And they're like, it had 0 for the extension. You don't have it or the right to back out. And we were like, you guys agreed, you signed it in an agreement, you knew, but legally they're right. We could have gone to court and lost, but I'm not going to say what we did after that, but it doesn't matter. I'll just say there are other outs to a contract. You all know that, but so just don't get in that position, right? $10, please. All right.
You can just give the money directly to the seller, you don't have to.
Correct. Yep. Title will just say at closing, hey, did the sellers actually get this money? And you want to be able to say yes. And then it'll be treated correctly. Well, that's a good point. So the amendment says it's already been paid. So before you even talk to the agent and be like, are we good with $10? Yep, we're good with $10. Great. How do I Venmo it? I'm going to Venmo it now. And then everybody signs the amendment. The amendment now depends on who you represent, right? If it's the buyer, I don't care when you send the amendment. If I'm the seller, better make sure you got the money before you sign the amendment because you signed the amendment saying you got it, whether you did or didn't. Make sense? Everybody on me? All right. All right. We have an announcement and I'm going to do something I never do, which is read. Because I'm going to get totally distracted and off track if I don't do this. So forgive me for reading. Okay. I hate that I'm reading this, but I don't know how else to do it. I'm just not going to do it. Okay. So I have something important, very personal that I want to share with you guys. I have spent over a decade pouring my heart and soul into this brokerage. You guys are my family. I call you my children. I'm so protective of you all, and I want you to understand I take that so very seriously, and it's such an honor. But the reality is, for the last couple of years, I have been spread really thin. I went back into production, as most of you know, a couple of years ago, and I've been trying to do both, and I feel like I've failed miserably at both. I haven't been the best broker for you guys, and I'm not the best agent for my clients. And that stress has the stress has affected my personal health, my mental health, my family. It's taken a toll, and I've decided I really need to put myself first at this point in time. Please know, I don't make this decision lightly. I've really struggled with it. But effective September 1st, the brokerage will have new ownership. We are fortunate to have an amazing mother and son duo that wanted to acquire the brokerage and pour it into you guys. And I never in a million years would have agreed to this if I didn't truly believe that they are going to be so amazing for you guys. They are going to help build you up, build your business. They are so excited. I'm so excited about it. I want to be very clear, and this is where I'm really reading. This is not a change in the brokerage. This is just an ownership change. The brokerage, as you know, it is staying the same. We're staying in the same location. Tracy's staying, Align's staying, I'm staying. I'm not leaving. I'm going to be a broker associate. I never in a million years would agree to this unless I knew it was going to stay the same for you guys. Commissions aren't changing. Nothing's changing. I'm going to still be here for you guys, and you're going to get 2 more people to be here for you guys. Okay. So it's good things. It really is. I'm totally off the script. That's okay. It says, I'm not walking away from you all or disappearing. I'm simply stepping out of the role as owner and allowing myself, probably for the first time in a very long time, to put some of my own goals and needs first. And I will remain, I'm not going anywhere. I'm incredibly grateful for what we've built together. This is so hard.
We didn't leave any tissue out for it.
I had to do right here. Where am I? Okay. Oh, Lord. I'm incredibly grateful for what we've built together and for every person in this room. You guys have really, truly been a part of this. And again, you are my family and you always will be. I wouldn't be comfortable making this change if I didn't genuinely believe that this brokerage and all of you are going to be in very, very good hands. And I want to introduce those hands right now. Michael and Lisa, please come up. So the good news is for you two, welcome to a company meeting. The reality is you've got a group online that can't hear you unless you're talking in the microphone. Yeah, so you get to take the microphone. If you guys wouldn't mind, just share a little bit about yourselves so they can get to know you. Again, I'll stress, let me go to that slide. This will take effect September 1st. What it means logistically for you guys is that we are going to make you on track move from Prosper Joint Venture to Global Capital Legacy Ventures. I just learned that last night, so it's taking me a minute. We will remind you and help you all on the 1st. It's a Tuesday. We'll be in touch. But we're just having to change you on track, and then ABOR and everything else will happen behind the scenes. Realty One Group Prosper, so Realty One Group Prosper. Like, they are fully committed to not changing things on you guys. There's no cheese being moved. But I'm, yeah, you will have to change your IABS. And then you all have to learn the new broker number. But I want to let these guys share a little bit about them, and I'm gonna take a breath.
All right, everybody. Pleasure to meet you guys. We are extremely excited. And I do want to start off by reiterating that nothing is going to change. We have been so fortunate to meet Carlin, and so many things about our own personal lives have coincided into this incredible movement opportunity for everybody. A little bit about me, Michael. My name is Michael, same as Palucha. I have been in real estate for about 10 years. My background's in wealth management. I have also worked as a partner at a land development firm, commercial real estate, financial literacy, working with investors, just about every single facet of real estate. I would love, and I do plan to bring all of the expertise and knowledge that I do have, that we do have, to y'all to help you grow and also find different ways to grow your own businesses as well as your income and cement yourselves as champions of your communities here or wherever you do work. I will say that, of course, I think we all are a little nervous because this means so much to everyone, and we know how much this means to Carlin. And we're really big on family. And I don't know if you, this is also my mother. She's been in real estate for 23 years. I owe everything to her, and I'm so thankful to be a part of this journey, to be here to serve you guys and to take this to the next level. And anything that y'all do need, I'll make sure to give you my phone number, email address. You do not hesitate to reach out. We will be there for you no matter what. And I will be at the office. So do not worry. If you frequent the office and Carlin's not, I will be there. So don't worry. You will always have a direct line to me, whether it's in person, Zoom, or via phone.
Well, good morning, everyone, or is it afternoon? My name is Lise, by the way. I have been in real estate for going on 23 years now. I started I don't know if any of you know about what JPAR Real Estate is, or JP and Associate Realtors. Well, I started the branches here. I started the first one and built that one. And then they called me to start NAREP Boston, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals chapter here. So I'm the founding president of NAREP Boston. We built it from nothing, and by the time we left, it was in a great place. I am always trying to find ways to help my clients and also the agents that I work with. The first thing I did as far as a franchise is I bought in 2009, I bought an Exit Realty franchise. At the time, I held it from 2009 to 2012 because I had a heart attack. And it took me a while for them to find that I had a hole in the upper chambers. So they fixed me in 2016, and we started our own brokerage. I told him to get his broker's license, and because I wanted to leave JPAR, and it took me a while. So I finally left last year. But I'm very loyal to when I find a good organization that is good for me and for my clients and for our agents, I stay. And so what I can tell you is that, well, I have 3 kids, by the way, raised them by myself on real estate. But I want you to know that we are committed to, we didn't want to change anything. We didn't want to move anything to make sure that none of you feel like, oh my God, all these changes are coming in, and I didn't want anyone to find themselves in a place that they were uncertain. So whatever concerns you have, you can contact me, text me anytime. I'll be available also. I live in North Austin, but Michael lives here in Buda. And whatever you need, now you'll have more people that you can go to, and we'll add more broker associates so that there'll always be someone that can meet your needs or whatever you need at any time. And I can be reached until about 9 p.m. Monday through Sunday. So just FYI, I just want to, let you all know that we're here to support you. Our goal is to grow with you and to make sure everyone is making money and making a living out of real estate. Because I know some of you have had to go back to regular jobs, and I understand that. But you know what? I, as a divorced single mom, was able to raise 3 kids, put them through university through real estate by making sure that we had multiple streams of income. And I would like to, we were going to go ahead and implement that for all of you too. We have different opportunities for you to make extra money, even selling properties in Mexico. So we'll talk about all those opportunities that we'll have. Michael is also going to teach commercial for anyone who wants to learn commercial real estate. So there'll be so much support and so many resources that you can tap into, and we'll always bring you things that can help you. So I'm excited and nervous because it's been a while that I've been in front of people, but I'm excited, and I hope you all give us a chance to get to know you, and whatever you need, we're here for you.
All right, guys, now that we've done the meeting, Cabo Bob's is in the kitchen. Grab some food and let's have lunch.